Has anyone seen Ian? Ian Arias? Hey, Ian. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, how you doing?
How you doing?
I'm great.
Long time no see.
It's a long time no see. Can you believe all the time that has passed and the amazing things that have come from this amazing development?
Yes, I can believe.
Do you know how many units of rental housing we have?
I think 262.
You are correct. Do you know what is coming to this site, what we're looking to bring?
Yes. Some wonderful folks.
Commercial.
Yes.
We're doing great things for the community.
Have you seen the pool?
Tell me about it.
It's wonderful. There's a bottle of champagne waiting there.
And it's child friendly, not the champagne, the pool. So 12 years.
More like 14.
14 years
14
in the making.
years.
It's a long time.
That is a long time.
So we got.
I've lost a lot of hair during that period.
That was not job related.
No, I don't think so.
My grays are.
So, today we welcome you all here to our ribbon cutting. We find that at moments like this, we are somewhat overwhelmed. And I think that at this point in time, we'd like to start the process of looking at what was and what is and what could be. From the time that we got involved with political elected officials who supported us and gave us the ability to acquire these sites.
Absolutely.
And they went on to then give us the support financially to get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say for us, it's important that we always have site control.
Site control.
Site control.
Ah, so important.
So important. There is no I in team. There is only all the folks gathered here today to make this event what it is. Each and every one of you standing here today is a result of and helped in bringing this dream to fruition. So, on that note, I would like to start by recognizing the architects and engineers who have worked on the site.
Yes, Gensler.
Gensler and Jay Davis.
Yes, we have STD.
And I want STV, absolutely. Cal Engineering. And I want to say this, sometimes in the moments of doing these things, there may be a list of maybe 5 or 6 other folks that we may have excluded. Don't think that you're excluded, it's just that the list was like this long.
And the paper's only this long, so we had to keep it limited.
Keep it limited.
But let's not forget Kinsley also.
Absolutely not.
Yep.
They're all here today gathered.
Yeah, of course, they're doing an incredible job.
Absolutely. We want to also recognize the folks who worked in unison on this project, who did everything from the concrete that got poured, the rebarb that was done, the framers, the roofers, the finishers, and the waterproofing.
Yes.
Most important.
Most important.
Most
Yes.
important.
There's
And
also a team of legal,
Absolutely.
our bankers, our investors, and as we look out at everyone, there are so many supporters here that we haven't referenced.
The marketing companies.
Marketing.
The property manager.
Yes, of course. We have elected officials in the audience who have been instrumental in our initial and early success. We have a number of people here that we have to thank. We have to thank other developers that have been supportive of our projects. We have our partners. We have a lot of people to thank. So again, the paper's this big and the list is that big, but we want to thank everyone. Yeah, so let's jump right in. We got a lot of people come up on the stage.
Well, one of the folks that we want to bring up to the stage is a dear friend of mine, a partner, and a brother of yours, and a gentleman who has held on to this thing, this project, this idea, this vision. I always think of this movie, and I was going to tell you about this. There's a movie Kevin Costner did where he's like a rescue guy, and he says that he'd rather lose his arms, his limb, and his fingers just to save somebody from drowning. And I think that is our partner, your brother, my partner, my friend, Dan Bythewood Jr.
Thank you, Council President, for taking my role. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this historic event for Center West. The amount of RSVPs passed the amount of people that we were technically allowed for the fire marshal, so thank you for not turning our lights out. The outcry and the outreach from community members to political members, from state, local, federal, all of you bankers, has been so overwhelming. It's been amazing. So when we originally planned this, we have the better of the two problems. We have so many of you versus none of you. So we're really excited about the outpouring affection that Baltimore City has for us, an outsider really to Baltimore City. And we wanted to do and make a huge difference. So that was our mission from 14 years ago. And I've rewritten this speech at least a half dozen times, if not more, because really, the question is, how do you get 14 years into 3 minutes? Because apparently that's my timeline from my two dear friends, sisters, colleagues. And really, the answer is you don't, which is why I rewrote it. And then we called a bunch of people from Hollywood and actors and writers and producers that we have here today, and we said we're going to do a mini-series because we'll really tell the full story at a later point in time. But thank you for showing up. First, really, let me thank God for giving me the health and the fortitude and the strength to wrestle this dinosaur for 14 years. The 14 years, as Mayor Pugh actually said the groundbreaking, that I must have looked like a really young man when I started. I look back at how many gray hairs I really did not have in those first photos, and I really had zero. I will not bend my head down because it's actually kind of shocking how many I do have now. But it was all for a good cause, because the cause really focuses around all of these photos in the window. And what is exciting, oh, you don't have to move, please, there's so many photos, please. But if you really look at the first photos, the sidewalk, that is the exact sidewalk that you walked across today to enter this building. The enormity of what we have done as a team is monumental. It's monumental. This is a side of Baltimore that people said this would never get done. This cannot get done. The support that we've needed to make sure that this happened has been astronomical. The lift that we have all given, the amount of community meetings were astonishing, as you can imagine, over 14 years, and people asking, Dan, when are we really starting? So I'd like to thank my parents, my partners at La Cite, Mayor Pugh, City Council President Jack Young, Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford, Tony Reed, HUD, Carolyn, Michael Braverman, BDC Bill Cole. No, obviously, you know, I feel like I should be Cuba Gooding when he won his award, and I should break dance in front of you. KeyBank, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, T. Rowe Price, Wells Fargo, our community partners. There are too many people to name. It is 14 years. It's a very exciting day for me. It should be an exciting day for you. We have new partners. We will bring such amazing things, because this is a start. This is 2 buildings out of 30 buildings that are this size or greater. This represents 8% of what we will build. Think about that, 8%. We are in an enormous building. There are 2 of them. This is only 8% for both buildings. So we are really excited about what we will do to change people's thoughts and revolutionize the way people actually think. This is really a celebration. It's a celebration of where we came from and where we're going. To give you a sense, my 14 years are an amazing amount of time, but this community's timeline is actually significantly greater than mine. It started in 1975 with an urban renewal ordinance, which I was 1 year old. I was born in '74. So for the 50 or so plus years that this community has really wrestled with the dinosaur, I am happy that us and our partners and collectively we've been able to change the mindset of people, change the way people think about what it means to be a community, change what it means to be in West Baltimore. If we went from macro to micro, you know, 14 acres, 3.2 million square feet, 30 buildings represent Center West. Avra and Ciro are about 302,000 square feet, and they're the first 2 buildings. Sorry for the humming or the feedback. And I'm proud to actually point out accomplishments for what we have actually done in West Baltimore. So listen to these first, fastest, and this isn't us bragging, this is us talking to Baltimore as a city for what we have collectively done together. So, fastest HUD application closed in 7 months. I know all of you have heard that HUD takes forever. We did it in 7 months. Thank you to all of the partners. First, we are the first ever HUD Master Lease 221 D4 in the history of the agency. So this is another first. Think about this. HUD is an enormous agency. They do billions upon billions of dollars. And for West Baltimore, or Baltimore as a city, to be the first that it's ever happened in the history of a federal agency, that is something to celebrate. You know, there's the fastest expenditure of volume cap in the state. We did it all in 60 days. Fastest 50% completion test in 60 days. First Class A building on this side of MLK in 50 years. Only Class A building to watch the sunrise over the entire city of Baltimore. We're the first development in Maryland to close volume cap post-construction start. First ever Edgar Allan Poe International Film Festival in the street, where we put 3,000 people in the street over 2 days without an incident. We're the first commitment that KeyBank used out of their $2 billion affordable housing fund. This is all Baltimore. Please, please listen. This is why your city is amazing. We doubled the amount of inclusionary housing that the city had in one transaction. So we have really tried to take up this word called leadership and really be a leader and persevere, and the sacrifices that we've made. You know, people ask me, like, Dan, what were all your sacrifices? So I don't really believe that there were sacrifices, but this is my teenager, so I don't have any kids. So this is my 14-year-old after all this time. But it was done on purpose. We really tried to do something that was to start a legacy for the city of Baltimore, and that was the transition from East Side growth to now West Side growth, backed by great members of the community and University of Maryland and all of it that they're really building. But if we really want to talk about the impact, it's really on the community. It's sticks and bricks and mortar, and all of the great stuff that we spent $83 million on is amazing. But what really is more amazing is our impact on people in the community. So jobs and careers and opportunity is actually something that we focused on. The city council has an ordinance, which is you must hire 50% from Baltimore City, which we thought is an amazing start to keeping people in Baltimore. We were 400 jobs on this site alone. So we hit the 50%, which means 50% Maryland jobs, 50% city jobs. But what we then did is put a different lens on and make sure that we focus on a hyperloop inside of Baltimore City's Poppleton neighborhood. So our security task force and security team was hired from in neighborhood. So Chief Jackson, who's somewhere in this massive amount of people now, is a former police officer from Baltimore City. He started a security company in Poppleton. He came to me probably a good 10 years ago and asked if we would hire him as our security. We did. Instead of hiring outside, we hired from inside the community. So the knick-knack things that we had, broken windows on trucks, all started to dissipate because Chief Jackson then hired people from Poe Homes, which is the low-income affordable housing directly next door to us. So think about this. If the low-income development was as bad as it was, we wouldn't be sitting here today because they would have taken everything. This is so important for people to understand, that people of lesser incomes aren't bad because they have lesser incomes. They were born into a specific portion of life. There's a doctrine called the divine right of kings, and it talks about birthright. And it's the birthright of kings given by God to be birthed into their station in life. Some people are not that lucky. Some people just are not that lucky to be born into a royal family. So what we're doing is doing the outreach to make sure that those people actually have real opportunities. So yes, our security force, we're really proud to talk about them. And they have done an incredible job to transform how even people in their own neighborhood think about this transaction. We have met our MWBE goals. We've exceeded on the WBE, which was actually really exciting for us. So we have lots of really strong and powerful women around us all the time, from plumbers and electricians, so the skilled labor force, all the way down to my sister. Sorry. So Other things that we've done, we've increased home values here in Poppleton significantly, where home values started at $50,000 and now value out at $250,000. So it's more than sticks and bricks. It's really people and inspiring people and giving them a way to really understand how they get out of their divine right of order, which is your birthright to wherever station you are living in. We want to give a sense of hope and pride and encouragement to people. So our entire team has done outreach throughout the community over and over and changing the typical patterns and behaviors and increasing pride inside of communities. That is why we did the Poe Festival in the street. We could have done it inside of a building, but that wouldn't have had the same effect on inclusion. So I want to tell you a little story about that, and I'm going to stop because I have so much more to tell you, but I really wanted to focus on community. But part of the community, when we did the Poe Festival, the kids from Poe homes did not really understand that they were invited in. So we constantly kept encouraging them. They first drove their bicycles through, they didn't stop. We kept encouraging, like, this is no for you as well. So when the kids finally stopped, we bought them everything that they wanted, which was really a lot of fun for us because we asked them, hey, what do you want to eat? Which was the first thing. And the kids came to me and said, Dan, we really want to be healthy. We want Brussels sprouts. Excuse me. I've been a kid before and I was looking for the ice cream man. And these kids wanted Brussels sprouts. So really changing the tenor of the conversation is what this is about. And we are looking to encourage more of that, as this is an 80-20 development within all of ours. So we will build 3,000 units of housing, 600 units of affordable, and invite everybody into a community. So we are not just selling space, we're selling a lifestyle, which is inclusionary for all. We built a dog park in the back for the entire community, so that is open for all, which you guys should actually see. We're building a park right outside of Edgar Allan Poe's house. So we want people to live here, to bank here. We want them to go to the movie theater here. We want them to go to coffee bars, to grocery stores. We want people to understand that this is an amazing place to live, and this is all inside of your city called Baltimore. Please embrace your city. Thank you.
So for our next guest, a fellow alumni of Enterprise, I found out a few weeks ago that we had both worked at the same company. And this goes back quite a while, where I discovered that a guy named Jim Rouse, who had actually funded and did a lot of affordable housing, not only in Maryland, but also in New York. And come to find out that we had actually worked at the same entity. So I want to introduce C. Lamar Cite from HUD to give a few words about HUD's participation in this project.
Thank you, Ian. I want to thank the team at Cite for inviting HUD, myself here today. It's an honor to be part of this project. It's transformational. Certainly acknowledge Mayor Pugh and Lieutenant Governor Rutherford. I do want to note two people in our local HUD office here in Baltimore, Carol Payne, who's a field director, and Bob Iber, a senior advisor. They're somewhere out there in the crowd. It's good to be in Baltimore today, guys. I have my purple on. And we got a big game coming up Sunday, I think. I live here and have since 1992 with my family. We've raised two daughters here. And it's nice to be a part of now and to see the transformation of what is a great city into a greater city. The transformation of the western side of MLK is key to our growth here. And again, to be part of it, I have a lot of personal pride in that. I want to thank you for letting HUD and myself be part of that. I think it's important really at the very front end. One of the major reasons that we're here today is certainly the vision of a developer, but we would not be here today without the support from the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. So I think we owe them a round of applause. And I'll be brief. I know there are a lot of people behind me. HUD's mission is very simple. We're here to create and preserve affordable housing in America. It's a tough task, very, very tough. It's a very complicated puzzle to put all the pieces together today. And when you see something like this come to fruition, There's a lot of pride in that from the developer's side and certainly the city side. And let's talk about the puzzle of how you put and create affordable housing together. You first start with a developer that has the vision to bring a project to fruition, a developer that has the experience, the track record, the management capability to get a project done. The ability to bring a project in on budget and on time is critical. Cite has done that. You look at the financial engineering a project has to have, which clearly I'm part of. HUD, we provided a $56–57 million construction loan, fairly insured and guaranteed by Ginnie Mae, the most cost-efficient capital in the marketplace today. But you look at the financial engineering and just look at the partners in this deal that were involved: KeyBank, T. Rowe Price, Oppenheimer, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs. These are the who's who of the financial services business. To get their stamp of approval says a lot here. It says a lot about phase one, but the ongoing build out of Center West here. Thank you guys for that. And then you go back to the developer again. These guys, they take a lot of risks today. To build a project and bring it in on budget and on time is a major, major challenge. Just dealing with the escalating cost of construction today. You've got to buy your 2x4s, you've got to buy your shingles, you've got to buy your drywall. And we've been in a very robust building cycle since the end of the recession. We continue that. And you couple that with labor shortages, cost of goods going up. You look at the last 2 years, guys, we're rebuilding now, or having to rebuild Puerto Rico, Florida, Houston after Hurricane Harvey. Now we've got southeastern North Carolina and the panhandle of Florida. That all creates demand for raw product, and what does it do? It pushes cost up. So to bring something like this to fruition and complete it, my hat's off to you guys. So I said I would be brief, and I will be. Again, thank you for inviting us here today. Thank you for letting HUD be a partner in this project. And we look forward to taking a more active role as we go down in the build out of Center West here. So thank you very kindly.
So our next speaker is someone who is an absolute advocate for change, someone who embraces Baltimore, its citizens, and all of this beautiful city stands for, someone who fights for the residents, who fights for all of the beautifications of less than thriving neighborhoods, who has been a firm and strong supporter of Center West, of La Cite, and all of the development that we have brought to this neighborhood. She is the 50th mayor of Baltimore and the 3rd consecutive female of Baltimore, leading this great city as mayor, the beautiful Catherine Pugh.
Dan, I want you to know, and I just want you to know, Bree, I feel like I am a part of the family. I'll never forget when I first met your brothers on the edge of University of Maryland Biopark when we were breaking ground. And they were like, you know, we got this project, we got to get the shovel in the ground, we need your help. And I can tell you, I am so proud to stand here today. And family, I know you all are proud. And let me just say, this project goes back, as you said, 14 years, and I want to acknowledge Mayor Sheila Dixon, a former mayor that is here with us. I also would like to acknowledge one of my female heroes, no, not you yet, Joan, but Susan Taylor. Thank you. We've all read your words in Essence magazine. We've loved you forever. And certainly my hero, my comptroller, Joan Pratt. Women do rule, by the way, Mr. President, because you have a vice president of the City Council, Sharon Middleton, who's here with us as well. And I also would like to acknowledge our council people, Councilman Bullock, also Councilman Stokes. I think you're going to hear from our president of the city council. I hope you noted that when you were talking and you were bringing up your brother, that your other brother stood up, and that would be the president of city council, Councilman Jack Young, because he has held firm to pushing this project forward, and I can tell you it has not been easy. And I've only been here 2 years, Margaret. Goldman Sachs, thank you for being here. Give her a big round of applause. We love her. We love Margaret. We love Margaret because Margaret sees Baltimore as a great investment. She's investing in this project. She's invested in Port Covington. And you all don't know, this is a powerhouse sitting here. Give her a big round of applause. I know you're also going to hear from some other folks, so I don't need to really acknowledge, but I'm always glad to be here with our Lieutenant Governor, Boyd Rutherford. Thank you. And we have a gem, Deputy Secretary, we have a gem in the Secretary of Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development because he really does get it. Thank you so much for being here as well. And I feel like you all, I'm standing here just acknowledging and acknowledging. I know our HABC person is here as well. Janet is here, so is Braverman, our Housing and Community Development. Thank you all for being here. And I just want to thank the family. I mean, because this has been a family affair. As you well remember, your brother was just a little tot when you all first started out. And, but he has really persevered, and so have you all. Working with our city agencies, working with our state, working with the federal government, you've made this side of Baltimore transformative. We know that this is just only going to be the jewel in the crown that's going to attract additional investments in this city. I want you to know that every time I'm talking with an entrepreneur who's talking about investing in Baltimore, and some of them are here in the room because I invited them here, I said, this is a place that you ought to invest in. You ought to put some restaurants here, you ought to put some coffee shops here. This is the place. I like that. This is the place. And I want to also thank the residents of Poppleton, this Poe House, the Southwest Partnership, for the cooperation that you all have given to bringing light to this project. You sat through years and years of conversations and deliberations, and here we are today, walking into this building. My understanding is that we chose La Cite development after an extensive selection process. There were many people who talked about doing this project, but obviously there's one that knew how to really carry it out. They have aligned precisely with what the community needs, and we know that, again, the University of Maryland couldn't wait for you all to build over here, because we know that as we continue to build out the biotech park, we want people living in our communities and in our neighborhoods. And here's what the University of Maryland has done. Just exciting, this project. You know, Johns Hopkins on the east side of town put up $35,000 per resident to get them to live near where they work. University of Maryland has put together $20,000 to get people to live near where they work. And so here's an opportunity for folks to live near where they work. And this is only going to create a more vibrant city. We're going to see people walking to and from. It is really about the collaboration, how we all work together. And that's what makes this work. I'm sorry, my senator-elect over there, I had just left him in City Hall, Antonio Hayes. Give him a big round of applause. You know, this is his district, and it was my district, and I'm so glad to have someone who's going to follow in my footsteps, because one of the things that we learned how to do, because he was my delegate, and that was to collaborate. And the reason I think that that's important, because one of the things that Antonio and I did together in our district, we made all of our delegates and Senator me come together and gave out over $250,000 in scholarships in our district, and I know he's going to continue that effort. We know that Baltimore is faced with challenges, but we also know that it's faced with opportunity, and that's what excites me about this project. So I'm not going to stand up here long because you got a whole list of speakers, but I want you to know that we cannot be more excited for not just this project, which we are walking in the door today, but for the future projects, because we know that what La Cite knows how to do is deliver. Thank you all for delivering.
As I make this next introduction for the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, Secretary Holt, I want to say, Secretary Holt, that when I first met you, you said something to me. He goes, "You write some very interesting emails." I'm happy to tell you that no more 3 a.m., no more 6 a.m., no more weekend emails. I just want to say thank you. And with that, he will come and introduce the Lieutenant Governor. Where's Dan? Dan?
While they're making their way up. I forgot to give out the family certificate.
No one else?
Well, this is a sensation, and as we've heard, it's not an overnight sensation. It took a great deal of time and effort, and I'm very proud of the fact that the state of Maryland was instrumental. I think it took the Lieutenant Governor to sort of light the fuse under my department to make sure that we got the low-income housing tax credits awarded to the Bythwoods and to the project. So I would like to invite the Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, Boyd Rutherford, to come up and to describe a little bit about what the Hogan administration has done to revitalize Baltimore City. And through Project CORE, through Opportunity Zones, the future is tremendously bright in this city. And this is a shining example of what lies ahead. Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford.
Let me put this down. Well, good morning. Good morning. It is great to be here this morning. And I do want to congratulate all of our partners with Baltimore City, the elected officials, Cite's development team, BRP companies, Key Bank, all the financiers, Goldman Sachs, and of course, U.S. Department of Housing Community Development, Ken Holt and his team at Maryland Department of Housing Community Development, and everyone else who's been involved in this project. You know, 14 long years. Madam Mayor, you said yours has been about two years, 2.5. We've been there about a little more than 3.5 years. But I received a call from City Council President Young with regard to this project, probably not too long after we took office. Karen Miller on my staff had arranged for me to come out and meet with Dan and Ian and all and the family and talk about what's going on here. And there were a number of roadblocks that seemed to be coming up with the tax credits in particular, tax financing. And so I called Secretary Holt, Deputy Secretary Tony Reed, who's out here, to basically get this thing going. There was some challenges and some differences of opinion in certain places that were, kind of, for lack of a better term, poisoning the well, let's say, so to speak. But we were able to get it going by making sure that everyone was being treated fairly to make sure that this project went through. So I just wanted to start off by saying that, but it is exciting to come here and see the ribbon cutting. The last time I was here, it was just a shell. And you could see the vision, and of course the developers had a vision for this project, but more importantly, this community. And so that's what we're really here to celebrate today, not just the fact that we're going to have a mixed-use complex here for housing. It's going to be energy efficient, clean, ground floor, retail. 53 of those apartments are going to be affordable, set aside for affordable housing. And when you think about the affordable housing and what's been happening, affordable apartments, the state of Maryland provided for this project some $7.5 million and has administered the low-income housing tax credits of approximate equity value of $5 million, and that comes to about $12.5 million to support the affordable housing component of this development, Park Square Homes. You know, beyond places for people to call home, affordable housing development has an incredible and powerful impact, creating jobs, stimulating the economy, and fostering a stable and diverse community. You know, under the governor's leadership, the state's investment in affordable rental housing production has soared, financing projects that have created or preserved more than 15,000 units of affordable housing throughout Maryland over the last 4 years, a little more than 3.5 years. We've also provided significant investments for revitalization and redevelopment. As the Secretary mentioned, particularly our Project CORE, creating opportunities for renewal and enterprise, which was launched in partnership with the city in 2016. That project represents a $100 million investment for strategic demolition of projects throughout the city. And we've already provided $33 million in support of the demolition and redevelopment of some 65 properties, and expect to be removing 1,700 blighted buildings and dangerous properties over the next year. And we have scheduled demolition of approximately 4,000 properties by the end of next year, I should say. This is an unprecedented partnership between the state and the city to revitalize the properties. The city has also identified another 500 properties that are in areas that they have determined have been areas that have been subject to crime, particularly violent crime, for those properties to be brought down. And as we invest in Project CORE, the demolition, the state will deliver more than $600 million to encourage private investment in these locations. So we're transforming and working with the city to transform neighborhoods. And when you combine all the projects, all the financing, Project CORE investment, and the additional assistance that our Housing and Community Development Department is providing, it's an investment in Baltimore of over $340 million. That investment has leveraged another $1.3 billion in private, public, and philanthropic dollars right here in the city. Most importantly, throughout that process, since day one, we've been committed to working with the community organizations, the neighborhoods, and other stakeholders to support the revitalization that meets the unique needs of the individual communities. So, under these programs, we know that everyone wants to have a safer and cleaner environment and community, and we're working with them to do that. And this is a perfect example of how the state and the city can work together to make a difference in the lives of the people of this great city. And that is why this summer the governor announced that we're going to continue Project CORE for an additional 4 years. And so working together, we will continue to build a better housing program like Park Square Homes and continue to transform neighborhoods like Poppleton and others throughout the city. So I want to make sure that I take the time, and I'm going to ask Ian and Dan to come back up. I want to present a governor's citation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'll take this.
So for this next gentleman that I'm about to announce, I just want to say that I remember the times we've gone to his office and asked for help, and every time he says, again, and I'm like, yes, again. I just want to say, Council President Jack Young, thank you for always taking our calls, and thank you for always having our back. With that, I welcome you to the floor.
Thank you, Jesus. You know, I'm so happy that this project is really, you know, taking off, and I know you got some more phases, but I'm so happy to be here this morning because it's still morning, it ain't 12 yet. But I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Carolyn Blakeney from Moselle from our office. Every time Dan would come back, I said, oh God, what now? You know, I said, Carol, we're going to have to take a trip up 295 to Secretary Holt's office and see what we can do. And every time we would go, you know, Secretary Holt had his team there to try to work things out. And then it got to a point where I was just disappointed. I said, I'm calling the Lieutenant Governor. So I picked up the phone, and he answers his phone too. I want you to know that. So he answered the phone, and I told him what the problem was. And he put the Assistant Secretary on to this project. And I'm just happy to be here today. I thought I was a part of Cite. I thought I lived and breathed it. I dreamt it. I was having nightmares. I said, this project has to happen because I don't want Dan calling again. Dan went and brought in all the heavy hitters. He brought in the Susan Taylor. He brought in Malik. He started bringing in all these people, and I'm like, wow. I said, okay, I get it. I said, we're going to do everything we can do to make this project happen, and it happened. So I want to congratulate you and your family for such a great project and for really having the community in mind. Because that's one of the first things I said, that the community must benefit. We must have community hires, and we must make sure we have minority contractors on the job, but most importantly, the community must be involved, and you have done that. So again, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this day. Thank you.
So this next person, next supporter of our project and of this development is someone who has been with us since our groundbreaking. He had just stepped into office, and he is here again, still with his support. I welcome to the stage Councilman John Bullock. He is someone who constantly supports us, praises us, and stands by our side. So I welcome you to the stage.
So good morning. So if you can't tell, I'm very excited and energized to be here. It is my honor and privilege to represent this community. If you've been paying attention to the news in the last few days and weeks and months, you've heard about some of the challenges in our community. But also we look at many of the opportunities. You can look at those pictures and see what used to be, and right now you see a shining phoenix rising from the ground. Looking at what could be and what's possible. You know, I also think it's important to recognize how historic this moment is. What developers look like. What their development looks like in communities like this. And speaking of community members, looking out in the audience and seeing people who live in this community, who work in this community, who invest in this community, who love this community, and that they will also benefit from this investment, from this infusion of resources. You know, it's also important to look at the private sector, whether we're talking about financing or development, but also the public sector. And here you have folks at the local and the state level all working together, moving in the right direction. But this is also, yes, and this is also just the first step, right? We're talking about additional phases of this project. But also this is a linchpin in terms of what will be, right? So we look at shops, and restaurants and retail, and the fact that there will be more eyes on the street. All of these future residents in this building will be patronizing local businesses. There will be all of this spillover effect that we see in our community. And so we see those brighter days ahead. We see this beautiful day right here. So I will not be in front of you very long. I would just say thank you for everyone who has been at the table working prior to us being here. And look at these young people. I love seeing these young people because they will be the future of our communities, and they're going to truly benefit from this. So again, thank you for everyone who is here today. I look forward to working together with our anchor institutions as well and making sure that we are moving forward in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman. The next guest that I'll bring up is from KeyBank. And let me just say a moment for folks who've had experiences with banks. This is one bank that has stood by our side through thick and thin, through every obstacle, through every challenge. And it's no better partner I can say that you had the keys that unlocked the door to working with HUD and working with all the team members. So with that note, Ed Fallon, can you come and say a few words?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's so wonderful to see this crowd today on this, I don't know if it's blustery day we have going here, but beautiful day. Again, my name's Ed Fallon. I'm the FHA Platform Manager and Chief Underwriter at KeyBank. And I'm extremely pleased to be here today celebrating with you this momentous achievement, this development called Center West. Before us stands a product of vision, passion, and collaboration. I met Dan and Ian, 3 years ago or so, and we discussed the opportunity to bring high-quality, affordable housing to the Poppleton District. Today we can see that your dream has been achieved. We at KeyBank are very, very proud to be a part of this development and what it stands for. Providing financial solutions for affordable housing is a passion we have at KeyBank, and thank you for the opportunity to carry that out. And with most great accomplishments, this wasn't easy. It required a collaborative and creative solutions through partnerships with all the men and women standing up here, as well as many of you in the crowd. With that, we were able to take Cite's and BRP's vision and make this property a reality. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out a couple of people on the KeyBank team that really made this happen. I'm just here representing KeyBank. I'm the eye candy of the group. But we have Brian Scogan out there, my deputy chief underwriter, and John Muse. John's moving around there, he's in the back. Thank you guys very, very much for your perseverance and dedication to this project. I know you guys had a lot of late nights, a lot of weekends, and thank you guys for really participating. And again, thanks Mr. Cite and HUD for this opportunity to build this great, great property. In closing, I just want to say today is a great opportunity to reflect on what has been accomplished. But also we should be inspired about what can be done in the future to bring affordable housing to our community. Thank you for allowing us to be part of this project.
Well, I can say this about the next speaker. I have been grilled from time to time on certain tours, but when this tour was over, I felt like my mind had been rewired a bit. And I was like, who is this person? Who is this person named Margaret Anadou? With some incredible questions, and it was Margaret from Goldman Sachs. So with that note, I want to bring you up to say a few words about the project.
I locked my phone where I wrote my remarks. Thanks, iPhone. Okay. So thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today. I love this city. I first came to Baltimore probably, must have been 8 or 9 years ago, but have really spent a lot of time here over the last few years, and today actually brought, both my kids to see what a great city this is, and also, especially for my daughter to see what a strong Black woman mayor looks like. So I'm excited that she gets to see that. So I do remember that tour as well. I actually thought it went really well, but who knows, different perspectives. I remember touring the site with Dan Sr. Thank you so much. And since that time, our firm has actually invested close to $300 million in this city. So we saw something that day, we continue to see something today, and we're so excited for all that's happening. We made a decision to invest in this city long term, in order to accelerate and participate in the progress happening here. We were pleased to find such like-minded partners as Cite, which is a new partner for us, and also to continue to work with BRP Development Corp., who is our best partner in New York City, and so we're excited to see what they're gonna do in Baltimore as well. Don't tell our other partners I said that. And most of all, I'm excited for the people of this neighborhood, who as a result of this project now have more quality affordable housing options, more economic activity and quality jobs, and a new park. And I look forward to returning to this neighborhood often and continuing to witness the progress here. And I'm also just the eye candy of our group, so I have to give all thanks to Kevin Mudd, who's in the crowd here, who really made sure this happened. Thank you so much.
So the next individual we're going to welcome up to the podium is someone who I'm going to quote from our groundbreaking. And this person said, "In neighborhoods across the city, we are working with city, state, community, and development partners such as Cite to remove blight, revitalize communities, and increase housing opportunities. Today is a win-win for all, for the residents we serve and the greater Baltimore community." And that person is the Baltimore Department of Housing Community Development Commissioner, Michael Braverman. So,
I don't think I have to say anything. Bree just said it. That's continuously the message, and it's really important. I want to thank a couple of people, but I want to start by again thanking the Blythewood family and their entire team for their vision and their commitment to our city. Their commitment to this community means a lot to Baltimore, but it also means a lot to Mayor, our larger community development strategy for Baltimore City. Mayor often talks about a new era of neighborhood investment. This is what that new era of neighborhood investment looks like. We are here celebrating phase 1 of this project. At the same time, we were all here cutting a ribbon on Holland's House, which is just a couple of blocks away, representing tens of millions of dollars of investment in long-term affordability in our neighborhood. We have unbelievable anchor partners. We have housing being developed right around the corner on the 1000 block of West Fayette Street, single-family dwelling infill with no subsidy. And again, this is a moment for this neighborhood. This is a moment for affordable housing. This is a moment for community investment. And it represents, I think, the mayor's view of community development across the city. We have some very, very strong new tools that the mayor is bringing: a neighborhood impact investment fund, a set of community catalyst grants to invest in our community partners and for capital support. And we're doing that in neighborhoods around the city to promote extraordinary transformation like we're seeing here. So thanks to our anchor partners and their Live Near Your Work program and their continuous investments. Thanks to our partners in HUD, because in so many ways we're looking at an extension of work that had begun many years ago with Hope 6, and moving on with a really considerable rethinking of that program and what we call choice neighborhoods today. And I want to reach out, Mayor, to our colleague Janet Abrahams. Oh, Janet, there you go, at the Housing Authority of Baltimore City, our executive director. Working with her colleagues at HUD has secured a Choice Neighborhoods Planning Grant for Poe Homes, to re-envision going forward how Poe Homes might be integrated into a neighborhood transformation project here. So that's on the horizon. It's worth $1.3 million, and the implementation of that is also a game changer. So extraordinary things going on in community development. Again, I want to also thank our state partners. When you look at these pictures over here, those are, I want to just take a moment to say, Baltimore's a town of like 10-foot wide to 16-foot wide row homes. They may be 40 feet, 60 feet in depth. And to create a development parcel like this is an extraordinary amount of lawyering. To buy and sew up and do that with sensitivity to everybody's concerns. So I want to thank, one, our partners at the state, because when we talk about the core program, we actually mean that they have helped us with the demolition costs when these properties are ready for demolition. But beyond that, we have a great team at the Department of Housing and Community Development and the Land Resources Division, unsung, back in an office, who are stitching all this together so that we can have a development site. So I want to thank the team at DHCD's Land Resources, and I want to thank the long-term project manager, Lembit Yogi. Are you here, Lembit? Where you are, Lembit, right? To deliver. Our colleagues at finance, there's a TIF associated with this, and Angie Ennis, our current project manager. There she is, Angie Ennis. And with that said, this is only phase 1. We're so excited about the continuous development here. It's extraordinary what's happening in this community, and to do that in a way, as everyone has said, where our existing residents will benefit for years to come. So thank you so much to the Blythewood family, and good luck going forward.
Every time I get up here, I start with the next person we're going to welcome to the podium. This person is someone who I hold near and dear to my heart, someone who's close to my family, as well as one of our amazing investors and partners at Cite and in this property. And she is someone who I think warrants no level of introduction, because she is a face, she is an aura, she is an energy. She is the name behind a very successful, fabulous, wonderful, amazing magazine. She is Miss Susan Taylor. She is the essence of Essence Magazine, and all that she embodies is all that we love.
Thank you, beautiful Bree. Where's my beloved husband, my Kefra? You know, stand up, sweetie, so people can see. You're not going to stand. You know, as we rolled into the city this morning on the train, I have on sunglasses because we're not going to miss that train, and I don't have any makeup. Let's go. You know who came to my heart? I'm going to dedicate this day from my heart to Jim Rouse. I don't know how many years ago it was, but probably 2 decades ago, I'd spoken at Wharton, and I was talking about transformation, Reggie, that transformation is possible, that I grew up in a community very much like this, and but for my able, stable West Indian parents who put restraints around me, a wild child, I would be, or someone else would be up here advocating for me. And so I was speaking to those MBA students about what our role really is as able, stable people who were advantaged. And somebody came up to me and said, "You have to meet Jim Rouse. You two should know each other." I'd never heard of him. And so they called Jim and they called me, and he called me and told me he was coming into New York City and would stop by. And I said, well, let's look up who this man is. And then there was this amazing piece about him on 60 Minutes. And what I saw was this small-bodied, older white man in a bus with a whole host of bankers and investors riding through a blighted community, pointing out what was possible. And I saw him sitting on the stoop, not just in the bus behind the shield of the, the mechanism separating him from the community, but sitting on stoops with people in the community, talking about a vision that is realized right here and right now. So what Jim Rouse was talking about is transformation. And transformation is possible. It's the only way that we're going to secure and advance ourselves. There's no way for our nation to move forward with so many marginalized people. And Kefra and I joined this project because we believe in the Bythwoods, and they know what we stand for. You know, everybody wants to have resources, but we stand for the community. We stand and speak for those people who cannot speak for themselves. And I remember, Sheila Dixon, when you opened the doors and we came and we would meet with you, and I'd walk down the street with you and people would come up to me, and some of them were drug addicts, shuffling along. Hey, I know you. You know, a lot of people read magazines when they're incarcerated. And my promise was that we will stay with this project, and we're going to make sure that it really delivers for people who deserve better. But for the grace of God, we would be on the other side of the divide. And you know, Dan, where's Dan? Dan, I don't know that you did say that there is no difference in the way that the affordable housing apartments are appointed and the way that the others are. Did you explain the doorknobs? I mean, that everybody has these same doorknobs. I want one in my little fabulous building back in New York, can control, from their offices or wherever you are, letting people come in to deliver packages. There's a camera where you can see into your apartment who's entering, who's exiting. As you take a tour through this building and you see the pool, and you see a vision to do, I'm just gonna say, it's God's work. Because that's why we're here, to ensure the least of these. And there's enough for all of us. And this project demonstrates that. And I think the Lieutenant Governor, you said it. It shouldn't have been this hard. That's not what you said. You said it was difficult. I'm going to say that when you're doing the right thing, it should not be this hard. Ian and Dan, people should have been rushing to support. Here's the piece I can have. Here's the piece that I can add. Here's what I can do to help, because we're helping the community. And the National Cares Mentoring Movement, founded as Essence Cares, when Katrina flooded New Orleans and really pulled the covers off of poverty in the nation for all of us to see. And most of you know that New Orleans is the site of the Essence Music Festival that has just grown beyond. And so, you know, that next year I asked people to go back to their respective communities and do something to help poor children. Because in New Orleans, we lost a lot of our people who helped us produce the festival, and a lot of children lost their parents. And I said, we can do better than this. And I really naively thought that people would go back to their respective cities and begin to mentor. An affordable way, an inexpensive way, a no-cost way of really securing and elevating lives. That didn't happen, and that gave birth to Essence Cares. And now here we are 13 years later, and it's the National Cares Mentoring Movement with affiliates in 58 cities, including one of the first ones was really right here, Greater Baltimore Cares, that was really founded by the former president of the Baltimore Urban League. You know, and I don't know if Keith Lee is in the house, if he's, there you are. Keith, I'm not going to embarrass you, but Brown Capital Management is here. Brown Capital Management, the money should be going to Brown Capital Management also to manage. Brown Capital Management has invested in National Cares in an amazing way. And here's what we do and what we're going to do right here through Greater Baltimore Cares that is now led by the Says, Armando and Kathleen Say. We are going to help people learn how to read. When the rate of illiteracy in this nation is the shame of the nation, and there is nowhere you will ever look and see an incentive to learn how to read. You're not going to see a commercial to help people learn how to read. And those are, I don't want to say purposeful barriers, but they're barriers to people being able to hold the reins on their lives and move them forward. We want to make sure that the people in this community who have an opportunity to stay in this community also have an opportunity to shop in this community, purchase in this community, and not just live here, but live here comfortably. And that is possible through the work that we do. So what we're going to try to do is really start with the folks maybe who are living in this building, who have never lived in a place so gorgeous, and help them to do what we know has happened for us, to transform their thinking about their own lives, what they deserve, how they care for the things that are given to them, and the things that they are really going to bequeath to their children. So this is really our work. Our work is really surrounding, it's group mentoring, taking thousands of people with a few psychologists and social workers and lots of volunteer mentors, and through the lens of our history and heritage, helping us to understand that no matter how challenging our lives may be, this is not the rough side of the mountain. And that's what we have to understand. What our people navigated to get to this point is a mighty work and it's a mighty story. And we have to keep it alive, just like our Jewish brothers and sisters do. Never again. We have to keep it alive. What our arrival at this place cost, not us, but those who came before us. So this is a proud moment, and I say to you, Jim Rouse, you know, who created the very first integrated community south of the Mason-Dixon line. Do you all know that? Columbia, Maryland. That's what he did, a visionary white gentleman who said that people deserve better. And I was just stunned that Jim Rouse told me that he loved sleeping in the backyard in a tent looking at the skies. He was my guy. And taking him down, I thought he had a limousine waiting for him that would drive him back. I said, oh, I'll see you downstairs to your car. With his little, what is it, like a golf hat? And a little, that's what he wore all the time? A little golf hat and a little shirt and his little bag. He said, no, I'm just jumping in a cab. Went down to the train station, just like we arrived today, and made his way back home. So, to the Bythwoods. To Dan, you are so brilliant, and Ian, equally so, and Bree, just as brilliant and charming and loving and just the glue held together by your parents. Where's Alicia? You just come on up front, Alicia and Dan. And Danny Byfield, yes. This is the fabulous matriarch of the family. Look at her. You know, it is with great pride that we stand here today, the elder women in La Cite, to say, just job well done. And let us remember that transformation is not only possible, it's why we were created. And when you do God's work, everything you need comes into your hands. You see? The Holy Spirit. You know, black people, finally, we are a praying people. We love praying and praising God. But hands that serve are holier than lips that pray. So thank you for serving the people. God bless you.
This gentleman here, I'm going to sit down.
So I'm going to be brief. I did have a speech, but I was going to bring my wife up and some other people, but time is of the essence here. So what I'd like to do is I'd just like to have our partners of La Cite, BRP, Park Square Homes, just to stand so that people can actually see Reggie, Kefra, with Meredith, Jeff. Just want to give them a hand for being a part of this wonderful venture. And this boat is sailed, and it's going to continue to sail for many more years. And with that ado, I'd like to thank everybody for coming and enjoying this moment with us. I'd like to usher everyone to the elevators to go upstairs so we can have the ribbon cutting.
3, 2, 1.